Emotion, Episode 2. I came on here to talk to you guys about something that I really, think most people would think would be very, very weird, okay? And I need you guys to bear with me on this when we go through this little story and spiel that I went on throughout this past about, I would say, a month and a half, okay? Now, to cut to the chase before I go in depth and tie this into how it's actually going to correlate to our emotion series, which is what this video will be under, I took it into my own hands to assimilate with homeless people. Now, you might be asking, Dylan, what on earth could you be thinking to do something so weird and just silly? Well, one night I was drinking, okay? I was a little tipsy. And for me, one of the fascinations I have with life is worldview expansion. In order to fully expand my worldview in that quest, I need to understand people to the highest degree possible, okay? So, in this quest of me understanding everyone, all walks of life, all cultures, and, assimilating myself into all of their cultures and seeing how their way of life actually goes, what makes them tick, I was like, you know what? I got nothing better to do, and I'm a curious fella, okay? So, I took it upon myself to walk out of my apartment, walk down the hallway, took the elevator, and I walked outside. It was pretty chilly. But I was like, you know what? I'm a man on a mission. I'm a couple, White Claws deep. They have the 8% White Claw tall cans. Just two of those, and you're good. That's what I was sipping on that night. And started walking around the corner, and I knew that, especially at night, the corner of where one of the apartment complexes that is close to mine is a hotspot for homeless people. And the reason why this is because at night homeless people like to be in homeless people hotspots because that is where they can get the best trades, or buy drugs, or pick up chicks and then give them drugs for giving them a little prostitution style action in the whipperini. So with that being said, that's where all the action goes. And I'm walking to the corner and everything, and I see a guy, he's on this like tricked out bicycle with like a speaker attached to the front. And he's bumping some Jada Kiss or something, and he's like 58, I want to say. Like, he's not young by any means, but he's just having a good time, probably high on meth or something to that degree. A lot of the people that I come across happen to be meth addicts. A lot of the heroin ones are like more like wretched on the outskirts, or like, I guess, in downtown areas, for whatever reason. I'm not that educated on the drug addict lore, but I just find that a lot of like in the outer city or more like suburban type areas, there's usually more meth heads in those areas. And I think it's because they can get by. You can actually function as a meth addict. Like, you can work and get a job. Some of them don't. But they're also pretty resourceful. Anyhow, I pull up on the corner, and the first one of three, guys that really stick out. I spoke to plenty more, but this is the first drug addict that I actually talked to. And he was honestly the most down to earth of all of them that I've spoken to so far. His name was Patrick. Okay, Patrick is this black guy. He was like, I want to say, in his late 40s, maybe early 50s, and he was not high strung. He was very chill. Like, he was very down to earth. He was a meth addict, but point being, him and I just started talking about life and everything, and I want to pick their brain. I'm a question asker, right? When I find someone who's fascinating, I want to understand him. So I'm talking to Patrick, and we're having a back and forth. He doesn't ask me for anything, doesn't ask me for money. I revealed to him, that I never done any drugs before or anything like that. He was like, "Oh wow, good for you." And he was like, "You should keep it that way." And I asked him, I was like, if you had one piece of advice to give me, not that I'm going to take a drug addict's advice seriously because I would never want to be one, but I think that you can take away bits and pieces of things people say, even if it's not somebody that you want to be like. And he said, once a drug addict, always a drug addict. And at surface level, you might think, oh, that's not profound at all. It was part of the way that he said it. He really, there was a level of depth of understanding that you had to be in the moment to kind of feel that. And what he had really meant by that was no matter if you quit, no matter if you stop doing drugs or not, it's always going to be a part of your life in some shape or form or capacity. And as soon as you embark on those feelings that, quite frankly, cannot be replicated by reality, you are altering reality for you forever. And this goes hand in hand with any drug, right? Even alcohol or cigarettes or anything, right? And it made me think back to when I was addicted to marijuana for over 2.5 years. Like, I was living in and out of my car. I lived with my ex-girlfriend at her house with her mom. I ended up getting my own apartment, but I was still addicted to weed. I would sit in my car every night. I've talked about this a lot before. But point being, I realized, even after quitting, smoking weed, I was like, there still is to this day, there's nothing that really makes me feel like that. And I've taken, mushrooms before, and mushrooms are by far the best thing I've ever done. I like doing them maybe once a year or so. And I'm able to use that in, moderation. I can moderate that, but weed I could not moderate at all. I could not take a break from it because it was just so easy to get my hands on. It was so easy to just relax and use. And when you're on a psychedelic, it's a whole experience, and going through that whole experience over every single night is just not something that would even be enjoyable for me. But with weed, it was the freaking perfect balance of escaping reality and being in a completely different one that I had created in my mind. And it was just a way to get away from everything that was going on for me. And, people who say that, smoking weed is not a problem, you guys are dead wrong. Weed can ruin your life. I had a friend him and I were really good friends, and it derailed his entire life. To the point where it ruined our friendship. He stole weed from me. So, I watched him go to jail multiple times. So this stuff is serious, and everything affects people differently. You may be able to monitor your weed consumption very well, but guess what? Not everyone will be. And you're permanently altering your reality when you're embarking on these substances and these things. So when Patrick told me that, I was like, man, he's damn right, because even though I'm sober now and I've beat and conquered weed, I quit multiple times for extended periods of time. Part of the reason that even made me need to quit multiple times is because I kept going back to it after 6 months or a few months. And it's because nothing came close to that feeling. Nothing replicated that for you. And I don't think anything ever will be able to. I think that I'll just get farther removed from weed, and I'll just evolve into a different person and be stronger in my values. Maybe drink or smoke here and there, like a cigarette or a cigar. But point being, that's not altering my, complete reality. A high is completely different than drinking or smoking a cigarette. It really is. And I understand if you're an alcoholic or someone like that, that could be that for you as well. But the point is, man, once a drug addict, always a drug addict. And you can't change those things and those things that you take and do to your body. You can't. You really can't. It's part of you forever. And especially when you take those harder substances, like the ones that Patrick is really talking about, man, it's really hard to go back. It really is. And I have experienced this firsthand with a lot of my family, all doing those types of drugs. So it really stuck with me. And you guys gotta know, like, if you guys are serious about doing anything in your life, you gotta make sure that your obsession that you create and you find for yourself is paramount. It is number one. It's the main thing that you're focusing on every single day. It's the only way to get better. And if you're somebody who's watching this video and you are a weed smoker like me, you gotta put it down, man. You gotta put it down. Weed will ruin your life. 10 years will pass by and it will be like nothing. Like, I had like 3 years of just like pretty consistent weed smoking every single day. And those years flew by. Let me tell you, they flew. There's like lots of days that I don't remember at all. And I prided myself on my memory. Like, it's not like my memory's bad. It's still really good. But my memory was like, dude, it was like number one draft pick good. Like, I could remember anything. I remember anything from my childhood like that. I could remember crazy little facts, little things. And now it's just all about my own, motive and goal and my one true thing that I'm focusing on. But the point is, like, there was a level of sharpness that I don't think I'll be able to get back until I have like a certain amount of years under my belt where I'm training my brain, I'm giving it the healthy parameters and things. And you can truly, like, when they say it fries your brain, it fries your brain, dude. It's taking away from the purpose and the actions that you need to take to be better. If you want to do anything in life, you have to cut out all the crap, face the noise, and be the chaos. It's our slogan, right? Face the noise, be the chaos. Face it. You have to face it. It's the only choice you have. There's no loophole. There's no workaround. There's nothing that's coming to save you. You have one choice. You have to make the decision. Because if you don't make the decision, somebody else who wants it more than you do will. Okay? So, moral of the story here, guys. Don't do drugs. Don't do drugs. Make sure you find something that is worth giving your all to. Make sure you find something that is worth cutting out the noise. Because 10 years will pass by if you're just that guy who is like me, who is smoking weed every day for years. And I can never get that time back. It was extremely valuable time for me, and I learned so much from it. It unlocked my charisma. Literally, it unlocked charisma for me. It was like a badge that I unlocked. Like, I was like, oh, shit, give me that, right? And sure, like, there were some cool things that happened. It took me out of my robotic state that I was in during high school, and it alleviated a lot of the childhood stuff that I had went through, honestly. So if I were to go back and do it all again, I wouldn't have done it for the time frame that I did for that long. I wouldn't have drug it out and made it that prolonged. But the initial experiences from it and the learning that I got from it and the unlocked things in my brain that it did help was really beneficial for me. But I'm sure if I just stayed sober that entire time, I probably would have figured it out anyways, right? That's the point here is if you're in a sedated state or if you are in any type of state where you're intoxicated, it takes away from you being productive. Look at some of the most productive people like Charlie Kirk, right? No matter if you agree with his political views or not, he was a workhorse. And he ascended so quickly through the political ranks because all he did was work. And he never drank. He didn't smoke. He didn't do anything. He was sober as could be. And he worked and he grinded every single day, constantly. Everything's always going. Something's getting worked on. And he was getting so much traction that he ended up getting assassinated. So that's the point here that we're trying to make is the more you cut out the distractions, guys, the more you are going to be successful. The more you're going to separate yourself from the masses who struggle with these things on a daily basis. There is a right and a wrong answer. The right answer is to be sober. The right answer is to focus on your craft. You can still have fun. You can still have a good time, right? And maybe on occasion you still do those things, right? But guess what? You're taking away from time where you could be getting better. You could be refining your craft. You could be refining your mind, growing the strength of the mind itself, working it out like it's a muscle, right? Because that's the most important muscle you can train in your body is your brain. So with that being said, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed my little story. Bottom line, though, is you got to find something worth dying for. Literally. If you don't have something worth dying for, you're not searching hard enough. You're not. You got to be so obsessed with that one thing if you want to make it or do anything cool in life. And it's brutal. It's lonely as hell. It's so lonely, guys. It is. But guess what? I know that I'm not. I can sleep at night knowing that I'm going this route. You know, I can sleep at night knowing that nothing is taking that away from me. And if I die, I at least know that I was giving it my all. And I was trying to get better every single day. And find something that is like that for you. I know for me, it's my purpose is to make people feel something, and I'm going to make people feel something. I already have with a lot of people I know in my life, and I just need to make a bigger impact and touch more souls and help more people, because I know what it's like to be alone, to have nothing, to be at your lowest constantly or not know where to go. You know, I've been through it all, so and I'm sure I'll be through quite a lot more as long as I'm fortunate enough. So with that being said, it's going to wrap up Emotion Episode 2. And I will see you guys in the next one.